So welcome everyone to our Mind the Moments Tuesday morning gathering brought to you by Harvard Pilgrim Healthcare and Tufts Health Plan. This is a place where we invite experienced mindfulness instructors to speak with us about what mindfulness means to them and to discuss as a community how we can incorporate these important practices into our daily lives. I'm Suzanne Rowe Palacino, and I am delighted to be here with Kell Julliard, mindfulness instructor and longtime meditator. Good morning, Kell.
Good morning, Suzanne. Good morning, everyone. Great to be with you all.
It's so nice to have you here this morning with us, Kell. I wanted to mention just a little blurb about our session for tomorrow. Just remind folks if they're interested in a Wednesday morning practice, we do an 8:30 to 9 session here as well. It's in a Zoom meeting format, so we have all the opportunity to see one another by on video, but screen optional, video optional. So that's 8:30. I can share the link in the chat in a little bit. So that's that piece. And so today, Kell will start us off with a question and share some thoughts with us. And then after that, we'll have an opportunity to ask questions and chat. So if you can go down to the bottom of your screen and click on the chat, and you'll see a drop-down menu here that says you can click on the blue drop-down and click on everyone, and that will give you a chance to see everybody's comments coming in. And so good to see everyone joining this morning. And if you have any questions that come up right away, please go ahead and type them in the chat. And then we will start this morning with a question. So Kell, what are your thoughts for our folks this morning and your question?
Well, since it's still January of a new year, I thought a great question would be, what is your relationship with New Year's resolutions this year? Are you embracing them? Are you spurning them? Are you dancing with them? Are you turning your back on them? Are you looking at them out of the corner of your eye? Just, whatever metaphor or phrase comes up for you, maybe just type that in the chat and we can see where we're all at with the idea of resolutions.
Yeah, I love how you've phrased that, because that really opens it up for everybody. Because some folks are really not into those. I have to say I do like the beginning of a new year for just starting things over in some ways. From my perspective, I have a little book that a friend gave me that is you write a little phrase about each day in the book, and there's a 5-year it's a 5-year book, so you have one page that has 2022, 23, 24, and you just write a phrase about each day. And I started that this year. So that was my new beginning, just because it was starting a new calendar. But how about you, Kell? Anything that I've embraced that, at least.
Well, the very first comment from Sarah really summed up my relationship, which is I just don't do them. I like intentions better. And it seems like a number of folks are saying about intentions that that's a word that really resonates with them. But I also like what Rita was saying about loosely making resolutions, trying to be mindful of them all year, but not getting worked up if you fall off the wagon. I think that was great. And what Angela said, I thought was delightful about liking the idea of a new year, but also we've got new month, new week, new day, new hour. And that those are all opportunities to kind of reset. So really, really lovely and wise comments, a whole range of ideas. One of the things that I was thinking about resolutions or even intentions is that they're kind of one strategy for forming habits that we really want to bring into our lives. patterns that we want to create that foster well-being, that foster greater happiness, that lead us more toward wisdom. And I think I like framing all of this as a variety of ways that we can choose to help us do that, rather than something that we're constrained to do, or that we have to like run away from, or yeah. So that's kind of the way I've been thinking about it.
Yeah, I really like that, because it's it fits in with our practice that we need to loosely connect to sometimes to goals and to striving, because we have some control over some things, but not a lot of control over other things. So I really like the way you framed that.
Yeah, and certainly most concretely in this session, it does relate to our meditation practice and how we bring that into our lives. I like Dan Harris's concept of a daily-ish practice, that we don't set this expectation that we're going to do it every day, and then we've got to beat up on ourselves if we don't. But daily-ish means that there's a little wiggle room in there, but that we're really wanting to kind of do it most days, and maybe even every day. So that daily-ish sort of felt like a good way of approaching it.
Yeah, I like that a lot. All right, so we can go right into the practice whenever you feel comfortable, or
Yeah.
if anyone else has any comments. But
yes, certainly comments are always welcome. And I thought, as I was thinking about a theme for today, resolutions popped up, but then immediately equanimity popped up. And so I thought we would do our practice around equanimity. And in this practice, I will lead us through some different ways of thinking about equanimity and experiencing it in the moment. And I think this very much relates to the ups and downs of setting intentions and resolutions, that we want to maintain equanimity, and that equanimity kind of opens a door to wisdom in terms of how we can relate to ourselves with greater kindness, and maybe more skillfully navigate these intentions and resolutions and habits that we want to form to support our well-being. So,
and Cal, and sorry to jump in. Can you describe equanimity in the context that you're using it for folks?
So there are two kind of big components to equanimity in the way that I think about it. One is sort of balance and acceptance, that we recognize that there are ups and downs, that ups and downs are just a part of life, of our life, of the ones we love, of the world, of really everybody is going to have their ups and downs. And if we can negotiate those with grace and patience, and recognize that nothing's gone wrong because we have ups and downs, it's just a part of life. So that's one aspect of equanimity. And then the other is really approaching other beings and ourselves really without bias, that recognizing that there's a goodness and a wisdom inside of everybody. And, friends fall out of friendship, and enemies sometimes become friends, and we really don't know how that's going to unfold. And if we can extend that wise, loving kindness and compassion to everybody without bias, things just go a lot better. And so part of equanimity is that it's not like indifference by any means. It's like having that open-heartedness toward everyone. Not that we abandon ourselves or become a doormat, but that we recognize that spark of goodness in ourselves and in all beings.
Thank you for that. I mean, just what a lovely description. I'm so glad you shared that. So thank you for that.
Thanks for asking. So shall we practice?
Yes, please.
Okay, so take a moment to check in with your body. and to really come into this moment by recognizing the sensations coming from your body, just feeling your feet on the floor, maybe feeling the weight of your body on the chair or cushion. You can even be standing to do this practice. What's important is to maintain a posture that fosters alertness. So a comfortably upright spine and a relaxed body. And feel free to meditate with your eyes open or closed, whatever is most comfortable for you. And if it's okay for you, perhaps bring your attention to the feeling of breathing. Just the normal inflow and outflow of air. Letting the body just do that. We don't have to control it in any way. If that's uncomfortable for you, feel free to notice any other bodily sensation or sounds or colors in your space. Just noticing that they come and go too, without really any conscious intervention. And that just in that recognition, there's equanimity. There's acceptance of this coming and going of the breath, coming and going of sound, arising and passing away of any body sensations. And if you're noticing the breath, at the end of the out breath, you might notice that there's just a moment of rest before the body wants to breathe in again. And like the ups and downs of life, the breath just comes and goes. And there's an inherent balance and equanimity built into it. And now take a moment to check in with yourself on the emotional level. To notice the mood or emotion that's present right now. And our bodies really tell us what we're experiencing on the emotional level. So just notice your face. Is there any expression or mood or emotion registering? And calm and relaxed is perfectly valid. It could be bored, it could be anxious, it could be excited, it could be neutral. Notice your neck and shoulders. Any tension of any kind, any sense of ease. There's no right or wrong here. With equanimity, we're just accepting what we're experiencing in this moment. Noticing your breathing. Is it deep or shallow? Is it fast or slow? What about your stomach? Is there any tightness or butterflies of any kind, or just calm and very quiet? Noticing your arms, your legs, your feet, your hands, any movement impulses to move forward or back or in any way. And again, just resting in acceptance of whatever mood is present for you. knowing with life, our emotions will be shifting constantly throughout the day in a kaleidoscope of changes. Notice any intentions that you have for the day. Do you have any plans or obligations or resolutions? And in this space of awareness, you might notice that wisdom spontaneously arises. We can hold these lightly, knowing they're important to us, but that they're just a part of life. They're not who we are. They will come and go, and we can hold them with balance, with acceptance, letting them play out as our inner wisdom manifests moment by moment. Now, perhaps bring to mind the people you might encounter today. Bringing a warmth, a kindness to think of how they want to be happy, they want to be free from suffering. And just as we want this for ourselves, we can want this for those we encounter. And perhaps there are small things we can do. A smile, a kind word, to enhance that wish for happiness, that wish for freedom from suffering, while at the same time recognizing our limitations. We can't stop the ups and downs of life. So while we bring warmth and kindness to those we encounter, we also bring acceptance of this constant change. And now just let the mind and heart rest, noticing you're aware and alive, allowing thoughts and feelings and sensations to just come and go in the spaciousness of awareness. No need to control them. They'll come, they'll go. Okay. If your eyes are closed, you can let them gently open and come back to the screen and your room.
Thank you so much, Kell. So true what you've shared about equanimity, that it's internal, but also we can utilize these practices to help us with our, how we present ourselves to the world and how we interact with our community and people we know and people we don't know. So I think that's a wonderful way to discuss the balance of our practice and of our lives. So thank you very much for guiding us and for sharing those words.
My pleasure. Always good to be with you all.
Yeah. And how is that? Any comments from folks that have joined? Maybe how the practice was for you?
Yeah, or any insights you have into equanimity and how that plays out in your life, and is it something you resonate with? Is it valuable, or any perspectives that you might have on equanimity? I know I feel so peaceful right now. How much should I be saying something? But I feel so peaceful.
I love this. I like that opportunity. Many times in life, we're not so comfortable with those pauses and quiet. And I really, I think it's important to have that sometimes. And that did bring up a great comment from somebody, from Julia. She said, "I'm curious why such a simple concept is hard to grasp in this world of striving."
One of the things Julia's comment brings up for me is the amygdala hijack, where our fear centers of the brain kind of take over and run our lives. And I think especially with the news and social media constantly bombarding us with negative stuff, especially now and with COVID, it gets us really revved up. So that I think this practice of equanimity is especially important now. But I agree with Julia. I mean, yeah, the fear response gets triggered so easily in life that Mingyur Rinpoche, my teacher, has a great way of framing that. I think that the monkey mind, if it has a big problem to deal with, it's quite happy, can get very involved in that. But if there's kind of no problem on the horizon, it begins to get really nervous and looks for problems, and it'll make a little problem into a big problem, and then it can be happy. So I think that's a kind of a fun, but actually quite apt way of characterizing the way our minds work sometimes.
Yes, yes.
And I think Loretta's comment is lovely about that. Equanimity can really play a big role in helping change this crazy world.
Yes. Yeah, I totally agree. And just on Angela's comment, she's really only heard the word equanimity in meditation settings. Interestingly enough, I post on Facebook every morning before we begin these sessions, and I put equanimity into Google, and I always go to images. And an image that consistently came up was this boat that is named Equanimity, which I thought, I have no idea what boat this was, but a million pictures of this boat came up. And
Wow.
what a name for a boat, because the way, I think about the waves of our lives and how, I just thought it was kind of just an answer to Angela. That I get your perspective and your experience that a lot of the times it really only comes up in meditation circles, and I think it needs to be coming up in other circles as well.
Yeah. And that's a great image because, the waves are constantly going up and down, but the boat rides them, and provides a sort of shelter for us as we navigate these waves.
Yeah. Yeah. This is so many good comments. Yeah, and just the comment that there was someone that was just feeling sad and realizing that, that when you discuss the emotions and how these things, how our emotions ebb and flow, an important thought as well.
And how they can block us from kind of seeing what is. Emotions tend to propel us into action. They have a specific view of what's going on. They're just information, but they may not. They're real, but not true. Is one phrase around describing them. So when we get caught up in those emotions, we can really lose that equanimity. It's not that we want to suppress, deny, or be emotionless, but that we give them some space and dialogue with them and get curious about what's really going on.
Yeah. Yeah. And Teresa's mentioned, and a good way to do that, the way you've put it to us, Kell, is with grace and patience. Just being open to those, how our body feels, and just being kind to ourselves too, because we're not in your everyday, we're not in an everyday situation right now by any means.
And it doesn't by any means mean that you give up your power, your personal power. You can, or that you, just because acceptance is built into this, that you just let things that are negative happen. You can actually act quite vigorously and still maintain equanimity. So I think it's really important to not have this be something that's disempowering for us.
Yeah, what a great point. Well, thank you, Kell. And thank you to everyone for making this a really open and just a learning environment to learn from all of us.
Yeah, I so appreciate all the comments and everybody's presence here this morning. It's really wonderful, the sharing.
Yes, it really is great to have an environment where we're not speaking directly to one another, but the chat really, there's a lot that we can glean from the chat. So we're so grateful for you taking time to be here and
engaged. Yeah.
And engaged, right. And just I'll share in the chat the session, the Wednesday session here. That link is there. You can click on that and it'll take you right to that link. If I think it's difficult to copy and paste, but if you just click on the link, it'll open your second browser and you can save it from there. So thank you, Kell. Thank you so much to you and for your words and for guiding us through this important practice.
My pleasure. Always great to be with you all. Thanks.
Yeah. Thank you so much for everyone joining, and hope to see you tomorrow or another time this week. We're grateful for your participation and for your practice. So we will see you soon.